A reading from the book of 2 Kings. Today is November 10th. Our reading from 2 Kings is chapter 5. Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Aram, was important to his lord and high in his favor, for through him the Lord had granted victory to Aram. But the man, though a great warrior, was a leper. Once when the Arameans were out raiding, they carried off a young girl from the land of Israel, and she became an attendant to Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "I wish master could come before the prophet in Samaria. He would cure him of his leprosy." Naaman went and told his lord just what the girl from the land of Israel had said. And the king of Aram said, "Go to the king of Israel, and I will send along a letter." He set out, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 changes of clothing. He brought the letter to the king of Israel. It reads, "Now when this letter reaches you, know that I have sent my courtier Naaman to you, that you may cure him of his leprosy." When the king of Israel read the letter, he rent his clothes and cried, "Am I God, to deal death or give life, that this fellow writes to me to cure a man of leprosy? Just see for yourselves that he is seeking a pretext against me." When Elisha the man of God heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, he sent a message to the king, "Why have you rent your clothes? Let him come to me, and he will learn that there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman came with his horses and chariots and halted at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, "Go and bathe 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean." But Naaman was angered and walked away. "I thought," he said, "he would surely come out to me and would stand and invoke the Lord God by name and would wave his hand toward the spot and cure the affected part. Are not the Amana and the Pharpar rivers of Damascus better than all the waters of Israel? I could bathe in them and be clean." And he stalked off in a rage. But his servants came forward and spoke to him. "Sir," they said, "if the prophet told you to do something difficult, would you not do it? How much more when he has only said to you, 'Bathe and be clean'?" So he went down and immersed himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had bidden. And his flesh became like a little boy's, and he was clean. Returning with his entire retinue to the man of God, he stood before him and exclaimed, "Now I know that there is no God in the whole world except in Israel, so please accept a gift from your servant." But he replied, "As the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept anything." He pressed him to accept, but he refused. And Naaman said, "Then at least let your servant be given 2 mule loads of earth, for your servant will never again offer up burnt offering or sacrifice to any god except the Lord. But may the Lord pardon your servant for this. When my master enters the temple of Rimmon to bow low and worship there, and he is leaning on my arm so that I must bow low in the temple of Rimmon. When I bow low in the temple of Rimmon, may the Lord pardon your servant in this." And he said to him, "Go in peace." When he had gone some distance from him, Gehazi, the attendant of Elisha, the man of God, thought, "My master has let that Aramean Naaman off without accepting what he brought. As the Lord lives, I will run after him and get something from him." So Gehazi hurried after Naaman. When Naaman saw someone running after him, he alighted from his chariot to meet him and said, "Is all well?" "All is well," he replied. "My master has sent me to say, 2 youths, disciples of the prophets, have just come to me from the hill country of Ephraim. Please give them a talent of silver and 2 changes of clothing." Naaman said, "Please take 2 talents, he urged him. And he wrapped the 2 talents of silver in 2 bags and gave them, along with 2 changes of clothes, to 2 servants who carried them ahead of him. When Gehazi arrived at the citadel, he took the things from them and deposited them in the house. Then he dismissed the men, and they went their way. He entered and stood before his master, and Elisha said to him, "Where have you been, Gehazi?" He replied, "Your servant has not gone anywhere." Then Elisha said to him, "Did not my spirit go along when a man got down from his chariot to meet you? Is this a time to take money in order to buy clothing and olive groves and vineyards, sheep and oxen and male and female slaves? Surely the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and to your descendants forever." And as Gehazi left his presence, he was snow white with leprosy.